welcome to another episode of the Journeyman podcast in association with Switchbox TV and the NHS Frontline. Today, I'm joined by Joe Egan. How you doing, Joe?
Great, Peter. How are you, pal?
Yeah, very good, mate. Very good.
Looking well.
How's lockdown treating you?
Yeah, it's okay. It's sad for a lot of people that are dying, but I've been doing okay. My family are all okay, and I'm sorry for the people that have lost loved ones. Please God, we're coming to the end of it now.
Yeah, I mean, we do this in association with the NHS Frontline. All the
amazing people. You know, they've been so underappreciated. It's took something like this to show how valuable they are to society. You know, doctors and nurses have always been there. And now, with this pandemic, people are starting to realise that the contributions and the sacrifices that they give to society, you know, they've given their lives to try and save people. How honourable a sacrifice is that, Peter, to give your life to try and save somebody else's?
Yeah, no, it's unbelievable. I mean, they don't get enough money. They're not paid enough money. They're not, you know, like you say, they're not appreciated the way, you know, people are starting to appreciate them more. But I even say all the hand claps and all that, is that good enough, or should they be given more money, you know?
Well, the thing is, a lot of them, and I could probably speak for the vast majority of them, do that job because they've got great hearts and great compassion towards people. I don't think they do it for the monetary rewards. They're entitled to the most money that they could be possibly given, you know, and they're entitled to get the wage rise for the hours that they put in. But you've got to have some sort of decency and kindness in you to go into that job in the first place.
Yeah.
You know, it's a very, very, very difficult job to do at the best of times. You know, to be trying to save somebody's life and to lose people's lives while you're doing the job, I tell you what, it pulls on the heartstrings, Peter.
Yeah, no, definitely. But obviously now we go back to, you know, tell the listeners where you're from. I know like most things about you, we're good friends, but tell the people where you're from, where you grew up, you know, where it all started, Joe.
I'm from Dublin, and one of 7 children, the eldest of 7 children. I've got 4 younger sisters and 2 younger brothers, and grew up in Ringsend in Dublin. But my dad, like a lot of the Irish, came to the UK to work. So we used to come over to visit him in the UK. He worked all over the UK, and we'd come over to visit him. And when I was in Manchester as a child visiting my dad, I made my Holy Communion when I was in Manchester. And on the day I made my Holy Communion, I got my 2 front teeth knocked out by the bully boys trying to take my Holy Communion medal. I got bullied when we came to the UK because I had the Irish accent. So when I picked up the English accent to try and mix in, when I went home to Dublin, I got bullied in Dublin because I had the English accent. Yeah. And I got 4 younger sisters and, as I said, 2 younger brothers. So when the bullies would finish beating on me, rather than hit them, I used to jump in and say, "Don't hit them, please hit me more." And it got to the stage where I could absorb punishment like a sponge. So my dad encouraged us, me and my 2 brothers, to box, to learn how to stand up for ourselves and defend ourselves against the bullies. And like a lot of boxers, that's the usual story of a boxer, that 9 times out of 10, they've come from a bullied background. And no one likes a bully. I hate bullies with a passion. But I started boxing, like I said, to stand up against the bullies for myself and for my younger brothers and sisters. And I wasn't too bad at it, to tell you the truth. It's something that you're born with. You're born with courage. You know, you can give people skills, and I didn't have much skills, Peter. You were very skillful. I watched you box many times. You were very, very skillful. I wasn't very skillful. I was just, like I said, tough. But like all fighters, we all have to be tough. Yeah. And I got to win 7 Irish titles. To win 1 Irish title was a major achievement. To win 7 was truly fantastic. Yeah. And then got to travel with the Irish boxing team. And I went out to America, 17, and I boxed in Atlantic City. I boxed a big Marine sergeant who was a man. He was 28 years of age. I was 17. I was big. I'd left school when I was 14 years of age. I just wanted to box. And I was on the doors of nightclubs at 15. I was big for my age, but I hadn't got that man's strength. I left school with 2 swimming certificates, 800 metres and 1,500 metres. And I'd never seen any use for Pythagoras' theorem. So I thought, I just box. I'm going to make my fortune boxing. Anyway, when I went out to America to fight this big American, like I said, I had the man strength. I hadn't got that man strength. But I got battered in Atlantic City. But I gave a good account of myself. Floyd Patterson, who was in attendance, he took a great interest in the Irish team because his wife was Irish. His wife was from Offaly. And whatever I did to impress him getting beat, he came over to me and he said, you got a lot of courage. He said, you don't have much skills, but we can work on your skills. He said, would you like to stay on in America and improve your skills? And I said, yeah, I'd love to. I wouldn't have had the money to go back to America. And Paul Fitzgerald, the Irish featherweight, he got the opportunity to stay, but he won. And he's ended up still living in Philadelphia. He lives in, oh God, what part? He's in Philadelphia now. I can't remember the name of the area where he lives in. I've been to visit him in Philadelphia. But I got the opportunity to stay. And I remember phoning my mum. I said, Mum, Floyd Patterson has given me the chance to stay on in America. I'm going to stay. Oh, son, she said, you'll never come home. I said, I'll be home next year, Mum. Anyway, I went to Gleason's gym. I sparred a couple of professional heavyweights in Gleason's gym. One heavyweight was called Art Tucker. I can't remember the other heavyweight's name. And Bob Jackson and Al Gavin, who owned the gym, they didn't own Gleason's. They bought the original gym off Cuss, and they were there. And they said, you're all right for a 17-year-old. You got a bit of potential. They said there's a 17-year-old in the Catskills looking for sparring partners. A guy called Mike Tyson. I'd never heard of Mike. I didn't know who he was. But he was knocking men out left, right, and centre. I didn't know. I was just so happy to hear 17, the same age as me. He's actually 7 months younger than me. So, like I said, I've been on the doors of nightclubs. I've been used to fighting men, being big for my age. I was brought up to the Catskills the next day. I met Cuss and Camille and Marnie and Jay and Tom. And then I met Mike. And not only was he younger than me, he was shorter than me, and he spoke with a bit of a lisp. And I thought, I'm going to batter him. You know, but I didn't know. Like I said, he was knocking men out left, right, and centre. And he was a really nice fella. He was fascinated about Irish boxing and the relationship with Mr. Eastwood and Barry McGuigan at the time. It was like father and son relationship, the same relationship that Mike had with Cuss. And I knew who Barry was. I knew the history of Irish boxing through Barry and being a world champion. And so we had plenty to talk about because he was fascinated with Irish fighters and the tradition of Irish boxing. Anyway, walked and talked and had food on the night. And we're getting on really, really well. Watched footage of old fights. And I was, you know something, Peter, I was starting to feel sorry for this kid. I thought, oh, I'm going to have to batter you tomorrow in sparring. You know? Anyway, the next morning, I know. The next morning, we went running. And we jogged together for about half a mile, and he took off like a gazelle. And I thought, that's it, you tire yourself out. I'm going to batter you later, swearing. Come back, had a bit of breakfast, went to bed for a few hours, got up then midday, getting ready to go to the gym and the Catskills. And as we're getting onto the minibus, suddenly all these big, powerful men appeared. And they're walking very, very somber, like men going to the gallows. And I'm so relaxed. I'm feeling confident and comfortable. But these men were sitting there, like I said, like so sad looking. They looked like they were going, like I said, to the gallows. Anyway, got to the gym, shadow boxed, warming up. Cuss said bandage up, so we bandaged up. Look around, glove up for sparring, and Mike's in the ring, pacing the ring with his shirt off. And I'm looking at this 17-year-old and I thought, that's not the same boy I met yesterday. That's not the same boy I jogged with this morning. That's not the same boy sat next to the minibus. He just looked ferocious. The big neck, chest, the biceps, the back, the triceps. He just looked so powerful. Anyway, Cuss pointed to one of the men to get in, and Mike knocked him spark out. I do tell people, I'm ashamed to say, I ruined a good pair of underpants at that moment in time. I thought, there's no way a 17-year-old boy should have that much power. Anyway, a couple more got in. They got knocked out. I was number 4. I got battered from pillar to post, but I stayed on my feet for 3 minutes, longer than the 3 previous sparring partners. Anyway, a couple more got in. I was back in again. Done another round with him. I did 2 rounds with him that day. But very proud to say I stayed on with him for nearly 2 years. I got battered. He made me cry many, many times. You know, it was an honour to share the ring with him, Peter, because every fighter dreams about becoming a champion of the world. I wasn't good enough to become a champion of the world, but I shared the ring, one of the greatest champions of my era, you know, Mike Tyson. And it gave me the great confidence that if I could take Mike Tyson's beatings, I could take anybody's beatings. Psychologically, I was okay because I got in with some of the most powerful punches of my era. I was in with Lennox Lewis, had a great fight with Lennox, lost on points. The Lennox stayed on my feet with Lennox as well. But psychologically, like I said, the beatings that Tyson gave me and the fact that he never put me down was a great confidence to get in to fight other men. And this particular day we were sparring, there was 4 white sparring partners. He knocked 3 of them out. I was number 4. I got battered from pillar to post. But as I said, he never put me down. At the end of the spar, Mike said, Joe Egan is the toughest white man on the planet. Far, far from it, Peter. I was the toughest white man in the gym that day. What a great compliment from a man like Mike Tyson. You know, he's visited my mum. He's been over to visit my mum 3 times in Dublin. And she used to speak to him on the phone regularly. And she said, oh, Mike, thank you so much for looking after my son. He was beating me to a pulp week in, week out. But like I said, it's only in the boxing ring. And it gave me the great confidence and the character for future fights, for future tournaments and to go professional and that, you know. So it was, like I said, it was an honour to share the ring with him. If you're going to get bashed, Peter, you might as well get bashed by the best. I got bashed by the best.
What do you think he was a different fighter after Castamata died?
I've said it in my book. Mike Tyson launched my book in Canary Wharf. We've done the forward for the book. One of the greatest days of my life. In 2005, Mike launched the book. Cass Pennant published the book, Pennant Publications. And I've said it in my book that I believe the best of Mike Tyson died when Cuss died. Cuss never even saw Mike win the world title, 20 years of age. And fighters need minding. Fighters need, you know, you're an ex-professional champion yourself, Peter. And fighters need minding from everyday life, the distractions, you know, women, nightclubs, the fast life, you know. Boxers have to be cocooned in a gym, training, eating, sleeping, to get the best out of a fighter, for them to reach their full potential, you know. And if a boxer isn't minded like that, he's never going to reach his full potential, because there's so many distractions, you know, the nightlife, party life, you know, the hangers-on. And Mike, believe you me, he had an entourage of hangers-on. And sometimes the temptation is too much to stay indoors. But when you've got somebody minding you, like Cuss, who minded Mike and encouraged him to do the best things for him that were going to benefit him in his boxing career. But when Cuss was gone, and then the other people that took over, I won't mention any names, they didn't have the affection for Mike that Cuss had. Cuss loved Mike. It was like a father-son relationship, but he wanted the best for him. And Mike had so much respect for Cuss, you know, that he obeyed his every wish. He obeyed his every instruction that Cuss gave Mike, inside and outside of the ring. Mike adhered to his rules and his advice. And that's what helped Mike become the champion that he became. But unfortunately, with Cuss not being there, Mike wasn't able to fulfill his true potential. He hadn't even matured at 20 properly. Heavyweights don't mature at that age. Imagine great Mike, because he is great. There's no 2 ways about it. But imagine how great, or even greater he could have become if Cuss had lived longer. You know? We never really saw, what we saw of Mike was phenomenal. But I still don't believe we saw the best of the man.
I mean, what do you think about him coming back?
As long as he comes back and gets in with somebody of a similar age, right? Because you can beat many opponents in the ring, right? But one opponent that we can't beat is Father Time. We can slow him down with good living. We can slow Father Time down, but we cannot beat Father Time. And Time hasn't been great to a lot of fighters, because when a fighter finishes his career, they tend to have a drink, they tend to go into the party life, things that they haven't done when they were fighting. And Mike's partied a lot of his life. When his career was over, he partied a lot of his life. So physically, he's not going to be as good as what he was when he was 25. He's 53, be 54 June 30th. So we know that physically he's not going to be as good as a man half his age. So there's no point in putting him in with a man half his age. Put him in with a man of similar age, right? We know he can punch. There's no 2 ways about it. He's got a phenomenal punch. If he lands that punch on anybody, he's going to hurt them. But he's got the speed of a man in his 50s. So he's got to be in there with somebody of similar speed. Evander Holyfield is 57. Buster Douglas, maybe Kevin McBride. You know, people have an interest in Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson shadowed boxing. People take an interest in him. There's no reason to put him in with heavyweight champions of the world at this moment in time, the likes of Tyson Fury. It's not going to be good for boxing, because Tyson Fury is going to be too fast, too mobile, and it's going to be, to me, it will be sad to see a great like Mike Tyson getting in with the current champion or the current contenders. I'm not saying that he can't hurt them, but they can also hurt him.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of it, Joe, is, let's not take nothing away from Kevin McBride. Let's not take nothing away from Danny Williams. But Jesus, they would not have laced his boots up.
No. They beat the man at the end of his career, a man that had been abused and ravaged by drugs and abused and ravaged by the boxing fraternity, boxing managers, boxing promoters. They took so many liberties with that man. And listen, we're only humans, and he is only a human. It doesn't matter how powerful he is. He's still only a human being. And he was put through the mill. You know, he's not a machine. Machines don't feel emotions. Mike Tyson was abused by the system, the powers of the boxing world, the powers of America. They abused that man. And he's a tortured soul. You know, when he turned to drugs for solace of the sadness of what he had to endure in everyday life, you know, the pitfalls of everyday life that ravaged that man, you know. And now to be coming back at 53, he'll be 54, as I said in June. By the time he fights, he's going to be 54. He wants to do it for charity. He's got a kind heart. But like I said, he's still only a man. He's not a machine. You know, you can only put him through so much. And to put him in with a man half his age, I think also a man half his age that wants to be the man to cane Mike Tyson, it wouldn't be fair to Mike. No. You know, we don't want to see him in a hard fight, but we want to see him getting in there, doing a little bit of showboating, and just enjoy the greatness that he is and the greatness.
Do you think Tyson would take it serious? Tyson Fury? No.
Listen, every punch, as you know, every punch hurts.
If he clips you, put you to sleep, Tyson, wouldn't he?
Well, if he lands a punch on Tyson Fury, right? I'm not a chance of being able to put the man away, you know, because Tyson Fury's got a great chin. But if he was to land a punch on Tyson Fury, and then Tyson Fury goes, hold on a minute, we're only meant to be doing kid gloves. He's out there hitting me with a hard shot there. I'll hit him with a hard shot. And he hits him with a hard shot back. And then suddenly Tyson goes, hold on a minute, he's hit me with a hard shot, I'll hit him again. And then suddenly what's meant to be kid gloves exhibition, because of a man's ego or a man's pride, sometimes it can get into a full-blown fight. And it wouldn't be fair. It would not be fair on Mike Tyson to be in with Tyson Fury in a proper fight. Because Tyson Fury is a phenomenal fighter. He's named after Mike Tyson. Tyson Fury's dad, John, named him after Mike Tyson. So the respect that family have for Mike Tyson shows you in the fact that he's been named after the man. And it wouldn't be fair. Listen, do you know what would be nice, Peter? If they were to do a sparring session just to train them together in the gym, imagine the fun that Tyson Fury would have. Head geared up, big gloves, and just like what Rocky did with Apollo Creed after the fight, after Apollo Creed got him ready to beat whoever he beat, Clubber Lang. And he said, we get out to the gym and we have a bit of fun. You know, let Mike Tyson and Tyson Fury do that behind closed doors.
It all comes down to money, though, Joe. It all comes down to money. As soon as money gets involved, everyone
Mike Tyson can earn a bucket load of money fighting Holyfield and not take the same risk of getting in with Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury can earn a bucket load of money getting in with Anthony Joshua for the undisputed world heavyweight title. And that's what's going to happen. You know, that fight's going to happen soon, Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. And it could be the biggest fight of all time. Two Brits, and half a Brit. Tyson Fury's got the Irish in him as well.
Yeah.
We have to get that in there, you know. But do you know something? Two wonderful men as well, Peter, because boxing doesn't just need great fighters, it needs great ambassadors. And Tyson Fury's a great ambassador for boxing, and Anthony Joshua's a great ambassador for boxing. And you know what's going to win? Boxing's going to win. You know, do you know the only undisputed world champion at the moment?
No.
Katie Taylor is the only undisputed world champion at the moment. She holds all the belts. Her and Usyk used to have, they were the two undisputed champions. And Usyk's
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I only found out that the other day. Somebody told me. But wow, how cool is that? Katie Taylor, the Irish girl. And
Tyson has done it all now, hasn't he? The only thing he has got to do, he has got to beat Joshua, because Joshua really has beat the people Tyson's beaten here, apart from Wilder.
Well, the thing is, it's great because we've got great heavyweight champions. And when heavyweight champions are good, boxing blossoms, because the armchair fan loves the heavyweight. So when you've got an interesting heavyweight, take nothing away from the Klitschko's. They ruled the world for 10 years, Vladimir and Vitaly. They ruled the world for 10 years, but they weren't exciting, you know. So boxing sort of suffered. They were very good at what they did. You know, they dominated the sport, but they weren't exciting. Tyson Fury's exciting. Anthony Joshua's exciting. Deontay Wilder's exciting. There's a couple of rising heavyweights at the moment. That Daniel Dubois, he's so exciting. And then you've got Usyk stepping up from cruiserweight. Going to have a hard fight with Chisora. He's not going to be walking the park for him with Chisora. So
I think Usyk beats him easy. I think he just boxes his head off. Like you say, it's a tough man against a good boxer. And
listen, if Chisora was to land that left hook on Usyk, right? Let's see how Usyk responds with a good left hook on his jaw. You know, and Chisora's left hook is a world-class left hook. He recently took out that guy that went 9 rounds with Wilder. Took him out with that left hook. You know, now Usyk has the speed and the mobility to stay away from Chisora, but Chisora on his day, and he's fighting very, very well. I don't know how he keeps doing it personally. I don't know how he's doing it. He keeps coming. He's like the Cinderella man. He just keeps getting youthful. I don't know. He's amazing. But that left hook of his, if he gets that flush on the chin of Usyk, it'd be interesting to see how Usyk responds. You know, because he wouldn't have been hit. In sparring, maybe he might have got a couple of good clips on his jaw, but during a fight, he wouldn't have been hit yet by a power punching heavyweight. And it'd be very, very interesting to see his reaction. And I'm not writing Chisora off in any shape or form. I think Usyk is still a little bit inexperienced. It was 16, 17 fights. You know, Chisora's been up there 12 rounds with Klitschko for the world title. I think he went 9 rounds with Fury, 7 rounds with Hay. You know,
the only argument I have with that is obviously against Fury, and I know you're saying Fury's big or whatever, but just when someone moves their feet, Chisora don't know what to do, and that's why he calls himself War Chisora. He wants everyone to stand still.
He wants a war. Do you understand? He wants a war. He wants to fight in the phone box.
Usyk's not going to stand still, not at all. He'll move for 10.
No way he's going to stand still. But the thing is, if Chisora just lands that one shot on him, right? And 3 minutes is a long time not to land one shot. 6 minutes, 9 minutes, 12 minutes. You know, if he can get in there in within them first few rounds and get that one good left hook on, who knows? He could slow Usyk down.
It's a good fight. It's a good fight.
When I fought Bruce Seldon, the best win of my career, I fought in Atlantic City. And I'd already been beaten in Atlantic City by the big American Dawson. Years later, after sparring with Tyson and boxing Lennox, I'm in against the American #1, Bruce Seldon, who went on to win the world heavyweight title. And for the first round, I couldn't get near him. He battered me, destroyed me. Battered me to the pulp. I came back to my corner. My cornerman wanted to throw the towel in. I said, I'm not quitting on my stool. I can take this punishment. I took it for 2 years off Mike Tyson. I took it off Lennox Lewis. I can take this punishment. I came out for round 2. Seldon couldn't believe that I was coming out for round 2 because he thought, I've just destroyed you in round 1. What are you doing coming out for round 2? My heart ruled my head, and I walked out to the centre of the ring. The bell went, and he stood still for that split second. I was entitled to hit him, and I hit him with a body shot. I couldn't get near him in round 1. He was too fast, too graceful, too good for me. And I hit him a body shot, and I sunk my left hook and bang, right into the body. And it took the wind out of his sails, and it slowed him down to where I could get near him. And I went on to win on points, the best win of my career. But like I said, I couldn't get near him in round 1, but landing that body shot slowed him down, and I went on to win. So that was a sort of a miracle win for me. So anything can happen in boxing, as you know yourself. But Chisora, you can't write the man off with that left hook. But there's so many great fights on the horizon. Boxing is on top of its game. And I'm so happy because I love the sport, I love the fighters, and I'm excited about some of the fights that are coming up. You know, you've got a few crackers in the making, but the biggest of them all, Tyson Fury and Joshua.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a cracking fight. I mean, COVID-19 is like a crazy thing, but for me, I think it's the best thing that's going to happen to boxing because I think people are going to have to fight each other. You know, I think it's good.
Years ago, when boxing, to me, it's gone a little bit too politically correct. The management aren't making the best fights. You know, that they're marketing the fighters that are selling the best tickets, the fighters that have got the biggest attraction, and they're being sort of given, I'm not saying easy opponents, because there's no easy opponents, but they're not being given the mandatory challenges. You know, they've been given these voluntary defences and that. And I think that the fans were losing out, you know. It's like when Mayweather fought Manny Pacquiao. That was 5 years too late. You know, that should have been 5 years previous when Pacquiao, and look at Pacquiao still to this day, still winning fights. But when he fought Mayweather, Mayweather was the top of his game and Pacquiao wasn't. And I just think that fights should be made to what the fans want to see. You know, and if they make this fight with Fury and Joshua pretty soon, they're both going to be at the top of their game, and the best man's going to win. But to wait until a man is past his best for a champion to have a defence against him, or for a champion, or for a potential champion to challenge him, the fans aren't getting the best value for money. You know, you want to see two men at their best, and you want to see a 50-50 fight, or two women. Now, they've got the women both doing ever so well. You want to see a 50-50 fight. You know, no one wants to see a journeyman or a man that's well past his best getting beaten up, because it's not nice to see, because we know after being there, Peter, how hard it is and how much the punches hurt. You know, I just want to see the best for any man or any woman that's fighting. You want to see them in a 50-50 fight, because it's only fair, because that's all we want in life, is a fighting chance. And to get in there with somebody and to know that you've got a fighting chance is a nice way to get in and box. I've got in many times now and I hadn't got a chance. You know, when I got in against them, I hadn't got a chance. But you just hope that you had a bad day. And that you
enjoy it. You enjoy it. But obviously now you got your book out. How can people get your book? How can people get hold of your book?
Well, it was launched in 2005. Mike Tyson launched the book in 2005. I don't think it's on the shelves anymore, so you'd have to buy it online. Big Joe Egan. But a lot of wonderful things have happened since the book came out. Cass Pennant, who published the book, he gave me an opportunity to be in his film. He had a film done about his life called Cass. Nonso Nusi played Cass in the film. And when I was on the film, I met Tamer Hassan, the actor. And he said, Joe, you've got a great presence on screen. Would you fancy an acting career? And I thought to myself, well, I've acted my way through a boxing career. I'll give it a go. You know, so he introduced me to his agent. His agent said they're looking for a character called McMurdo to fight Robert Downey Jr. in the Sherlock Holmes film. Would you like to give it a go? I said, yeah, I'll go down. So I went, done the audition. The casting agent said, give us an intimidating stare and say this line. So I gave the intimidating stare, said the line. They went, wow, you've got an amazing intimidating stare. I said, I've had to look into the eyes of Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis and try and intimidate them. Intimidate a couple of casting agents is no problem. Anyway, I got the part, Peter. I went down to Claridge's for the read-through. My nameplate, Joe Egan, next to Jude Law, Robert Downey Jr., Eddie Marson, Rachel McAdams, sitting opposite Guy Ritchie, Joel Silver, the CEO of Warner Brothers, and all the hierarchy of Warner Brothers. And Guy said, Joe, I've been trying to get you in one of my films for a long time. I said, you're joking. I'm Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man. He leaned in, he says, Joe, you come with a fearsome reputation. I couldn't believe, Peter, that these people even knew me. But they knew me through Mike Tyson. You know, and I was honoured. When I travelled down in the minibus to do the practice fight, Guy said, how are things, Joe? I said, things are okay, Guy. I'm making ends meet. He said, has your agent told you how much you're getting for the fight scene? I said, Guy, I never even asked. I'm just so honoured to be in your film. When he told me, Peter, it was more than I got on any of my pro fights. And I was deadly serious. I said, Guy, for that money, I said, Robert Downey Jr. can really hit me. You can kick me as well if you want to. And he took it for the laugh and he said, Joe, I don't want you to be beaten up. I said, Guy, I've been beaten up for a lot less. Lot less. I said, I'll do a few weeks in hospital for that money. Anyway, I didn't have to get beaten up. And I get in a prison scene that wasn't in the script. And I get called my own name. I get called Big Joe by an Academy Award-winning actor in a Warner Brothers movie directed by Guy Ritchie. And it's just made all the beatings, Peter, that I've took all worthwhile, because I've took some savage beatings in my life. And it just made it all worthwhile, because it's made my mum so proud. My boxing made my dad proud, because that's all we want to do in life, is to make our parents proud. And my boxing made my dad proud. And then now in the films, my mum is so proud. She sees me beaten up and killed in the films regular, but she loves it because you know it's not real, you know. But since the Warner Brothers Sherlock Holmes film, I got into part 2 as well. I've done the Sherlock Holmes 2. And since then, I've done over 50 movies now, Peter, and TV series, and the parts are getting bigger with experience. I get to play the tough guy or the gangster. You know, I don't think they're ever going to give me a love scene, but
Yeah.
you know, I've got that sort of look for the gangster look and the tough guy look, and I've had to live the life of the tough guy like you. You know, the walk to the boxing ring didn't phase me. It didn't phase you. So if that walk to the boxing ring doesn't phase you, nothing in life will phase you. If you can do that
No.
walk, you can do any walk. So I can walk onto the sets, and I've got the confidence. I've had dialogue with 3 Academy Award winners, and to be in their presence, you know, these masters of their art, you know, it was like being in the presence of the greats in boxing. I've been very fortunate in the acting world. I'm in the presence of greatness as well. I've worked with Academy Award winners, and it's a privilege, you know, it really is. And I've enjoyed it. I'm loving every moment of it. And like I said, the parts are getting bigger with experience. And I'm hoping there's Peaky Blinders in Birmingham. I'm hoping for a break, maybe get a part in Peaky Blinders. I'm hoping maybe for a James Bond film to play one of the baddies in James Bond. That would be a dream come true. Because I've grown up watching Bond. I love Bond. You know, I love James Bond. And to be a baddie in Bond, you know, just the right-hand man to the baddie. I wouldn't be a good enough actor to play the main baddie. But to be his henchman, I've just done a film recently and it's out soon with Vinnie Jones. Vinnie plays Sean Teague and I play a character called Gunner. I'm one of Vinnie's right-hand men. And that's out soon. And I think I've done a decent job. The director was happy enough with me.
What's Vinnie like?
Oh, he's lovely. Very nice. Yeah, really nice. It was great to work with him. I'd met him a couple of times doing the after-dinner speaking events. And he's done ever so well in the acting. He finished his sporting career as a soccer player, and he's done really, really well. If I can have a fraction of the success that Vinnie Jones has had, I'll be very happy. You know, but people are saying, the directors are happy with my performance, and they say it's all about believability. And like I said, I've had to be a tough guy all my life, from getting beaten by the bullies to standing on the doors to walking into the ring with Mike Tyson to spar to box Lennox Lewis. I've had to walk that tough guy walk many, many times. So to do it on a film set, it's a lot easier to walk onto a film set and do it than to walk into the ring with Lennox Lewis or to walk into the ring with Mike Tyson. You know, so I'm enjoying every moment of it, Peter, and I'm glad to say it's a new chapter to my life. My boxing's over. This is a new chapter to my life. I've got a good job. I have a nice full-time job as well, so I'm very fortunate in life. I work for a company called Ambi, the Ambi Medical Group. I've worked for them for now over 10 years, and my bosses, Sandy Patel and Shailesh Ravel, they look after me very, very well. You know, I've got a company car and pay a bit of tax and got life insurance and a pension. And I'm very fortunate.
What do you do? It's like security? Is it security?
I started off with them as security. As security, and then they've got me now as an ambassador for the company. I'm a brand ambassador for the company. I'm a brand ambassador for a few companies as a result of the success with Ambi. And I'm enjoying life. I've been over to India many times with them. I've worked on 3 Bollywood films. I've worked with 3 of the biggest Bollywood stars: Shah Rukh Khan on Ra 1, Jackie Shroff and Furky, and Satinder Sartaaj on The Black Prince. So I'd like to start doing more Bollywood films as well, because I go over to India with my bosses regular, and I enjoy going to India. The Irish have a great rapport with the Indians anyway. The Irish have a great rapport with everybody, because we don't do racism, as you know, Peter, being Irish yourself. We don't do racism. We don't fight any man because of his colour or his religion. We fight against each other. You know, I've had to punch up with my own people, but I've never had to punch up with a man because of his colour or because of his religion or because of his race. You know, and that's the great thing about the Irish. We don't do the racism. So I've been all over the world. And the Irish Prime Minister, the Irish Taoiseach, is a Sikh, Leo Varadkar, Sikh descent. His father was a Sikh, and his mother was an Irish nurse. And the Irish have a great rapport with the Sikhs, with the drinking culture. And you're going to laugh now, Pete. I'm an Irish man that doesn't drink alcohol.
Have you never drunk?
I don't drink. I had a Guinness with my dad at 16, and I decided with my pals at 14, and I didn't like either. And people say, "What sort of an Irishman are you?" And I say, "My dad says I'm a failure as an Irishman because it's expected of the Irish to drink." Yeah, I don't bother with it. You know, my mum doesn't drink either. You know, but I enjoy life. I don't need alcohol to enjoy life.
You still train? Do you still train?
Yeah, I still train. I go to a gym in Birmingham called Flex Fitness, and the guy that owns the gym, Salim Raza, it's a good gym. There's every shape, every size in the gym. So I'm in there with young guys, old guys, women, and it's a great atmosphere in the gym. You know, there's boxers in there, UFC fighters, weightlifters, runners, and there's a wonderful atmosphere in there. You know, Flex Fitness and Dickpit, and I go in there. with the lockdown having me gone, I've been getting a walk in. I mean, walking most days. I live in a nice area of Birmingham. I live in an area called Moseley. Tolkien, who wrote The Lord of the Rings, he lived in Moseley, and he made references to Moseley Bog and Sarholme Mill. And with this lockdown, I've been walking around Moseley, and I've took in the joys of the area. It's a beautiful area. You know, I've lived there for over 10 years, but with travelling, with work and stuff, I've never really took in the joys of Moseley. And I'm enjoying the walks. The weather has been glorious the last few weeks, and even though it's been sad times for the world with this pandemic, you know, nature has blossomed because the planes aren't in the sky. So we've lost in one way, but we've gained in another. You know, nature has blossomed. You know, the trees, of the animals. You know, and where I live is I live on the golf course, so we've got a lot of trees and that around us, but it's lovely.
How did you start with the acting though? Did you get an agent first, or because that's what I'm interested in getting into after? Obviously, I'm finished boxing now, but you know that's my
thing
plan.
is, Cass Pennant, like I said, gave me the part in his film, and Tamara introduced me to his agent. And when I did the first Sherlock Holmes, from then I got with a proper agent, and just gone from strength to strength. And with my agents are Roger Carey Associates, and they've looked after me well. But a lot of the parts I get in, Peter, when I film one film, 9 times out of 10, the director or the producer or sometimes the actors in the film, because I pride myself on my manners, they say, Joe, you don't have that aggression that your appearance sort of gives across. You know, you have that menacing demeanor, but you're such a polite man. And they recommend me for parts, like I said, and I've been very fortunate that one has led to another. Even when I was on the film Avengement, which is on Netflix at the moment, I was on the film with Scott Adkins. Now, Scott is one of the best, if not the best, stunt fighters in the world. He's also a phenomenal talent as an actor. Anyway, I spoke to him on the phone, and he said, Joe, he said, I can't wait to work with you. I said, I can't wait to work with you, Scott. I'm a massive fan of yours. He said, Joe, you fought like that for real. I said, I didn't fight like the way you do it on screen. The way you do it on screen, brilliant. Anyway, so I'm on the film Avengement, have a fight scene with Scott, batters me in the fight scene, in a prison scene. And when I was there on the film set, Scott introduced me to another director that came to visit Scott that he'd worked with many times, a director called Ross Boyask. And I said, hello, Ross, nice to meet you. And he said, Joe, he said, I'm doing a film, he said, at the moment. He said, it's part 2, it's called Vengeance 2. And there's a lot of testosterone in the film, testosterone-fueled mercenaries. And he said, I'm changing one of the mercenaries to be a polite mercenary. He said, and suddenly I've met you. He said, you're such a polite man. He said, would you be interested in the part? I said, I'd love the part. He said, well, I can't just give you the part. He said, you've got to do the audition. So I said, yeah, no problem. So I'd done a self-tape when I was on Vengeance. When I was on Avengement, I'd done a self-tape for the Vengeance film, sent it in, got the part. And I'm working, like I said, with Vinny, Wade Barrett, the WWF superstar, Bentley Kalu, the WWF superstar.
Where was you at?
Okay, I was just saying about the stars of the Vengeance film. So what was I saying? I forget now what I was saying, Peter. Sometimes I regret having that last fight. One punch too many.
You know, I just said to Sean, just then, I said, I'll tell you what, he's got some memory from the batterings he's done.
So I've been very fortunate with the films. I've been working with some great directors, great actors, and I'm learning from them. But when I was on the Sherlock Holmes film, and Rachel McAdams, she went on and got the Academy Award for the film Southpaw. Yeah. You know, what a phenomenal talent she is. And then Robert Downey Jr.
What was that? Was that one Francis Barrett film? Was it Southpaw?
No, it wasn't. No. He's got another film. No, it was. I'm trying to think. Who was the other star of it? The male star of it, I can't remember now. But it was a phenomenal film.
I remember it. Yeah, I remember the. But at the moment, as we speak, I'm doing acting lessons with Tony Pitts. He was in Peaky Blinders. He was Sergeant Moss. He's been in loads. He's been in War Horse. He's been in a lot, and he just said you're a natural. He said because with boxing, like you've said, with boxing's an act. It's an act. As mad as you're having a fight, it is an act. All going to the ring and.
Well, it's the entertainment industry. It is the entertainment industry, you know, and you've got to entertain the crowd at the show, and you've got to entertain the crowd as they're watching it on television. And it is, to me, it's the best sport in the world. I'm sure for you too. All the other sports, take nothing away from them, all admire fighters. You know, as a fighter's born with courage. You can't give a person courage. They're born with courage. You can give a person skills, you can teach them skills, but you cannot give a person courage. You play soccer, you play basketball, you play golf, you play tennis. You don't play boxing. You know, it's a full contact sport. And it's the greatest sport in the world. And now it's gone full circle, Peter. They're starting to bring the bare knuckle you know, and I'm involved with the BKB, which is phenomenal as well. You know, the great fights. And they got some great fights, a lot of ex-boxers going into the bare knuckle, and it's gone full circle because that was the origins of boxing. Boxing started with bare knuckle. And I did a trailer for a film. Hasn't got funding yet, but I'm hoping it's going to get funding. The film's called Prize Fighter. And the young man that wrote the film, his father was a former British heavyweight champion, Dave Pearce. And his son has wrote the film and is the star of the film. And it's a film about bare knuckle. And what they used to do was the bare knuckle fight at the race meetings of the stable lads or some of the stable hands would put on a bare knuckle boxing fight to entertain the crowd at the big race meetings. This is long before television.
It still happens now, doesn't it? It still happens now.
They're now the stable lads boxing championships. But what they do is they call it nobbins because when the crowd that were waiting for the race meeting to start would throw money at the two pugilists having a punch-up to entertain the crowd. Young stable hands that probably wouldn't be good enough to be professional jockeys, but they would work in the stables. And they would subsidise their income as working in the stables by putting up a bit of a boxing match. Roberto Duran did exactly the same when he done his bare knuckle on the docks in Panama, when the Americans or the rich people would be coming to go marlin fishing. And Roberto Duran and his friends used to put on the bare knuckle fights for the rich Americans or for the rich tourists that were coming to go marlin fishing. And that's how he started his boxing, bare knuckle, on the docks. Anyway, this film, it's a trailer waiting for investment. One of the bare knuckle matches, Lord Lonsdale was in attendance watching this. And this young kid was in against me and Julius Francis, who was the former British and European heavyweight champion who fought Tyson. Julius Francis is playing Black Bob Britton and I'm playing Irish Mick. And we're two big brutes of bare knuckle fighters and we're throwing big bombs at each other. But then this young kid gets in and starts doing manoeuvres like Mayweather, slide stepping. And Lord Lonsdale goes, hold on a minute. There's a bit more skill than brute force in this game, in this sport. And that's where he took a great interest in boxing. It's supposed to be based on a, loosely factored true story. And he took interest in it. And then it was the origins and the birth of boxing, from the bare knuckle to suddenly see the skills in this young man, sidestepping and manoeuvring and, feinting and weaving and doing whatever he was doing to impress Lord Lonsdale. And then boxing got a set of rules and guidelines, and it evolved from bare knuckle into boxing. And now it's gone full circle because the fans haven't been getting the fights or the matches that they should have been getting. They should have been getting the best fighting the best. It was like when Alan Minter beat, who did he win the title of? What was that? I met the guy who won the title of, Vito Antuofermo. He won the title of Vito Antuofermo. 90 days later, he had to defend the title against the number one contender, Marvin Hagler. So he was straight from winning the title into a 12-week training camp to defend it against Marvin Hagler. And that's the way boxing used to be. The best fights the best. When Joe Calzaghe, one of the great British world champions, phenomenal fighter, massive fan of Joe's, he knocked out a guy called Mario Vite in the first round. Knocked him out. Knockout. I was at the fight. Knocked him out. He had a 12-round close split decision over Robin Reid. Now, which one of them two fighters should have got a rematch? I think the man that lost the close decision should have got the rematch. But instead, they gave the rematch to Mario Vites. Now, after knocking a man out in the first round, how can you improve on a first-round knockout unless you knock him out on the way to the ring? You know? Put Mario in the second fight in the fifth round. Now, that's not Joe's fault. Joe wants to fight the best. And he proved it at the end of his career because he went out to America to fight Roy Jones. And he went out to America.
Hopkins.
I went to the fight. I went to the fight when he fought Hopkins. I was at the fight. I went out to Vegas because, like I said, I'm a big fan of Joe's. I went up to Wales to watch him boxing when he beat Manfredo. I was ringside in Manchester when he beat Left Hook Lacey. A phenomenal talent. And if Joe's career was given to himself, because Joe was a warrior and an underappreciated fighter, one of the greatest. Joe Calzaghe is one of the greatest British, I know he's Welsh, but he's a British fighter. And what a phenomenal talent, and so underappreciated. Because when he damaged his hands and was a knockout puncher, to go from knockout punching to perpetual motion, you know, throwing loads of punches like Mayweather did with his damaged hands, it shows you, they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. But he changed the guy completely. It shows you the brilliance of the man. And in my eyes, Joe Calzaghe was a brilliant fighter. Robin Reid should have had his rematch, though, because Robin was a phenomenal champion.
It was close. It was close.
The first fight was very, very close.
A lot of people had it the other way.
But you know something? I thought it could have gone the other way. But personally, they should have made it a draw. Because
Kessler was close. Kessler was close.
What a fighter, Kessler. What a warrior. What a warrior. I went out to Denmark. I boxed Brian Nielsen in Denmark. And Morgan's pal who looked after Kessler, he looked after me when I was over in Denmark. And the Danes have a great history of the fight game. You know, they've got some great champions over the years. But Kessler, what a warrior. I went to see Kessler. What's the other British fighter? Froch. He fought Froch.
Yeah, that was close.
What a chin he had. What a chin Froch had. You know something? His recovery powers, Carl Froch's recovery powers, to me, were up there with Larry Holmes' recovery powers. Yeah. Because Larry got knocked out many times. And by the time they got to 10, he was up again. When he fought Ernie Shavers, Ernie said himself, and I've done talks, I've been very privileged to share the top tables with these great champions. And I've shared the top table with Carl Froch, and I've shared the top table with other weight divisions as well. These are phenomenal, from flyweight to heavyweight, you know. But when Ernie Shavers decked Larry Holmes, he raised his arms, and he said for 10 seconds he believed he was the heavyweight champion of the world. He didn't think that Larry Holmes could get himself up off the ground, and he did. And Ernie Shavers is recognised as probably the greatest heavyweight puncher of all time. And Carl Froch had the same chin as Larry Holmes. He was gone. When he fought that Groves,
Jesus, we got put over. He was never getting up from that, was it?
Listen, they could have been counted Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. He didn't look like he was going to wake up. Suddenly, he woke up and was up and again. And Tyson Fury done exactly the same thing against Deontay Wilder. Yeah. That's something in the man. You know, not all fighters have that. All fighters have granite jaws. All fighters have courage. But to get up and open your eyes when you're knocked out, and to carry on in a fight and go on to win, that separates the challengers to the champions. I never
got dropped in my whole career, ever. And I boxed world champions, beat world champions, never ever took a count.
Well, that's some boast. I've been decked. Dad used to call me for my runs in the mornings, and he used to say, drag yourself out of bed. He said, it's like dragging yourself off the deck when you get decked. And I used to say to Dad, no one's going to deck me. No one's going to put me down. I remember when I boxed in the Acropolis Games. And I've got into the semi-finals. I won my first two fights. I got into the semi-finals, and my left eye was damaged. And I'm in against the big punching Greek, Georgios Stephanopoulos. Anyway, second round, I turned blindside on, and he caught me. I didn't see the punch coming, and I'm on the deck, right? And I really was asleep in bed, and I was pulling the blankets like this. I was trying to find the sheets to pull the sheets over me. Yeah. I was asleep. Yeah. And I rolled over onto my side. My left eye was closed, and I could see through my right eye, and I saw the referee go 5. And I thought, I'm on the deck here. So I've got to my feet, but my corner men, Mickey Hawkins and Jerry Hanna, they thought I was calling them into the ring like that. I wasn't. I was pulling the bed sheets over me, right? I know, it's mad. But when I did get to my feet, my two cornermen were in the ring, and I sort of staggered into their arms. I got beat on my feet. I lost to the eventual gold medalist, Georgia Stephanopoulos. The Irish team were calling him Georgia Step on top of us, not Georgia Stephanopoulos. Anyway, I remember phoning my dad. I said, Dad, I've won a bronze medal. He said, well done, son. I said, Dad, I got decked. He said, you okay? I said, yeah, I'm fine, Dad. I said, my left eye's closed. But I said, I'm okay. I said, but Dad, do you know when you told me getting decked and having to drag yourself off the deck is like dragging yourself out of bed? I said, it was right, Dad. Everything you'd said was right. I really thought I was asleep in bed. I was comfortable, you know, and I didn't feel the punch. I'd felt many punches in my career, but the one that did knock me out, like I said, I got up and I got beat on my feet. But
the body shots are the worst. The body shots are the worst.
Sickness.
Yeah.
Sickness. Yeah. I've had some sickening body shots. But I was fortunate because I wasn't that tall for heavyweight. I didn't get hit with that many body shots. Tyson hit me with some sickness, you know, and they do hurt. See, when they take the wind out of you, they do hurt. Trying to catch your breath.
Do you speak to him a lot, Joe? Do you still speak to Tyson?
Speak to him regular. Speak to Mike regular. Yeah, very, very, very close. And we've been friends. Bloody hell! Oh, how many years now? 17, 38. I'm 55 in November. Mike's 54 June 30th. So 38 years. Jesus. And he's just a fantastic man. You know, a man that has been through the mill and come out the other side. He's been through the mill many times. You know, growing up as a child in Brownsville must have been so hard for him, Peter. You know, to endure what he's endured as a child, and then to go to the Young Offender Centre to come out, and even through his boxing career, even what he's achieved, I don't envy the life that he's had to live. You know, he's had such a hard life. And most fighters, if not all fighters, Peter, have humble beginnings, you know, because if you come from money, people say, oh, you come from the gutter. I don't use that terminology. I don't say we come from the gutter. We just come from humble beginnings. And you fight your way out of the life that you've got to try and make a better life for yourself. And that's what makes fighters warriors. Fighters are modern-day gladiators, whereas years ago, they were going to the arena to entertain the crowds with knives and swords and spears. Now we go with boxing gloves on, you know. Or some of them now with just bandages on, or no bandages in the bare knuckle. But they fight their way out of poverty, a lot of them.
Poverty, that's what I was going to say,
I wasn't, my dad was a working man, and he worked hard for us, and we didn't really experience hunger like a lot of the sad stories in boxing. I've heard some tragic stories, you know, heartbreaking stories that would bring tears to a glass eye. So sad, you know. And you see these men and women fighting their way to the top of their sport to make money, to feed themselves and their family. That movie, The Cinderella Man, the story of Braddock.
Great film, man. It tells you, doesn't it?
Was phenomenal. Listen, that shows it, you know. But that story, he isn't on his own. Braddock isn't on his own. He is one of many fighters around the planet that have had to do the same, that haven't had the success that he had by winning the title, didn't get the monetary rewards that he got, but fighting for the same cause to feed himself and his family as every fighter on the planet, you know, to make a better life for themselves, to make a better life. When Tony Bellew, you know, I'm a massive fan of Tony's and I'm a good friend of Tony's. When Tony won the first fight against David Haye, probably the biggest payday of his career, he said, my wife and my children are set for life now, right? And I thought, what a wonderful, fantastic statement, you know, for a man that's fought hard. All these fights have been hard. He's been in some hard fights. And then he had the rematch with David Haye. And he said, not only my wife, my children set for life, my grandchildren will be set for life as well, because he got the rewards that he was entitled to, because it is the hard to earn money in the world, you know. And unfortunately, they don't get the rewards. Like you say, the NHS nurses and doctors, they don't get the financial rewards that they're entitled to. And the same as firemen don't get the financial rewards that they're entitled to. And policemen, you know, we're all forgetting about the policemen that go out to try and serve the community. Because, see, if we didn't have police, we'd have anarchy. You know, it's not nice when you see them in the rearview mirror behind you when they pull you over for your taxi insurance, you know. But are you there,
Sorry.
Peter? They have to be there. They have to be there. If they're not there, we wouldn't be able to walk the streets. We would be okay, tough men like us, but women and children wouldn't be able to walk the streets, or old people wouldn't be able to walk the streets. You know, look how hard society is with the police there. Imagine what it would be like if they weren't there.
Yeah.
You know? So I like I say, give credit where credit's due, but the frontline NHS, doctors, nurses, firemen, delivery men that are out bringing food to the shelves of the shops, you know, bin men that are cleaning the streets so we don't get rat-infested streets with the dirt building up, you know. So many people going out doing that bit to make better lives for us all. Listen,
it's just obviously I've got a documentary which we're funding at the moment, and hopefully it's going to come out soon. But it's funny, I had a dream the other day, Joe, and you was in the dream that you was in the film.
That's a nightmare. If I'm in you, it's a nightmare. That's not a dream. That's a nightmare, Peter.
No, but I believe the documentary will show what life I've had and the life I've had to come through, and it will go into a film, you know, and definitely I'll 100% have you in it. 100% you'll be in it.
Your story's worthy of a film.
Yeah.
Even like from that story with Gomez, when you fought Gomez, and I've got time to tell the story, have I, Peter?
Yeah.
Listen, I didn't just kiss the Blarney Stone. I took a bite out of the Blarney Stone. I could talk for Ireland.
Yeah.
I've been very, very lucky. I've had a wonderful life, a hard life, a very, very hard life, but I've had a good life. And people keep saying, how good is it? I can't believe how good my life is now. And it keeps getting better. Every day it's getting better, you know. But every day is a gift from God. That's why it's called the present. Every day is a gift from God. And some people through this pandemic haven't got to see tomorrow. You know, I've been very fortunate. Like I said, I've survived this long, and please God, tomorrow's not promised to anybody, but please God, I'm still here tomorrow. But what was I going to say there?
Gomez.
When you fought Gomez, what a fight. But Brian Peters brought me over to originally stand in between the two of you. Now, I knew who Michael Gomez was, and I knew who you were, you know, two great warriors. But I thought it was scripted. I really thought this is scripted. Brian Peters has got you both boxed off to where, because I love the press conferences, I love the build up to the fights, and you've got to sell the fights. You know, you have to look into each other's eyes, bit of a growl, bit of a snarl, you know, to promote these two men or two women are going to fight. It's not kid gloves, it's a fight. So I thought that you two knew the script. I was going to stand between you, separate you for the cameras, and you were going to growl at each other. This is what I was led to believe. Brian Peters told me this is what's going to happen. But Michael Gomez took it one step too far. I've stepped in between you, and he stuck a headbutt on you, right? And he gave you a lump on the side of your head, the size of my fist on the side of your head. I grabbed and I pushed him. I said, "Oh, you what? I'm going to smash you to bits." You are very dignified. You compose yourself very well, because if a man stuck a headbutt onto me, I'd have attacked him. You compose yourself well. And when I see him in the ring, I love the way you compose yourself, right? Anyway, I remember talking to you leaving the hotel that night. You had your beanie cap on, and the lump was shown through your beanie cap. You probably can't remember. I remember speaking to you. I was sitting downstairs in the Burlington Hotel, and I'd only met you that day. And I went over to you and I said, "Well done." "Oh, you've gone again."
We're going to lose this. We're going to lose this.
I said, "Well done. And thank you for the way you conducted yourself." Gomez let himself down. He let the boxing world down. But you composed yourself and conducted yourself very, very well. And you said to me again, "I'll see him in the ring. That'll do me." Right? Anyway, you went off to get your flight. So I was sitting in the foyer of the Burlington Hotel, and Gomez came back for a run. And he was standing over at the lift. I went over, I told him off. I said, "Hey, you." I was bang out of order. And, "Oh, I can't wait to smash him to bits." I said, "Listen, there's a time and a place, and that wasn't the time. And what you done was bang out of order. You shouldn't have done that." No one gave you a chance of beating him. No one gave you a chance.
I knew I was going to do it. I knew I was going to do it.
You believed in yourself.
Listen,
you believed
Joe,
in yourself.
Joe, we'll cut this here, and we'll definitely do a part 2. I'm not going to leave it at this. So let me sort it out with him, and we'll do a part 2. Right, Joe?
Peter, brilliant. Thank you very much, Peter. God bless you, pal.
Bye,
mate.
bye.